published 1731 Eastern Daylight Saving Time, the 10th of May 2018, updated 1832 Eastern Daylight Saving Time, the 10th of May 2018. Ruben Loftus-Cheek was playing football in the park with his mates one day when local councillors asked them what kind of sports facility they would like them to build. They said, "We could have a basketball court or a football cage," recalls the England midfielder. "At the time we were all into that FIFA Street game, you know, the one with Peter Crouch, so we went for the cage. That cage was less than 100 yards from Loftus-Cheek's family home in Swanley, Kent, and he says his skills were honed as much in that confined space as they were at the Chelsea academy he joined at the age of 8. Ruben Loftus-Cheek insists he honed his close control in a football cage near his family home. The 22-year-old midfield powerhouse is eyeing a big future at the top level after a loan spell. The Chelsea midfielder has impressed at Crystal Palace and wants to go to the World Cup. "He was in that cage all the time, even after I'd played a game for Chelsea," he says. "You have so much energy as a kid, and I'd get home and head straight over there and play. It was often against much bigger kids, so it was good for practicing technique. I was good with the ball, and keeping the ball. I've always been the type of player at Chelsea. They focused on developing that same close control. We'd train after school on a Tuesday and Thursday, and we used to do this circuit, and it was all about technique," he says. "We did that for years, working on both feet. I enjoyed it there. There's a video on my Instagram of me training with the under-9s when Jose Mourinho came to watch us. You see me running over to him with a water bottle in my hand. I was tiny. No more than average height then." Despite making just 60 appearances as a professional, Southgate believes the midfielder has something special to add today. Sitting in the sun at Farnborough Football Club for a photo shoot with his boot sponsor, he is far from average. Standing at almost 6 feet 4 inches and 14 stone, he would not look out of place at centre in a rugby team. This Lewisham-born 22-year-old is a central midfielder with a big future, one that is likely to see a season on loan at Crystal Palace conclude with a place in Gareth Southgate's squad for this summer's World Cup. His opportunities to impress have been relatively limited thus far, those years spent as a squad player at Chelsea and the injuries he has struggled with at Palace limiting him to fewer than 60 senior professional appearances. But Southgate can see, like many observers, that there is something special about this kid. That this graceful, gifted footballer, someone Glenn Hoddle has likened to Michael Ballack, could become a major figure in his plans. He certainly has pedigree. My dad produces good footballers, he says with a smile, referring to his half-brothers, Carl and Leon Court. But this engaging, enthusiastic, ambitious young professional also makes the right noises. Loftus-Cheek has a Premier League winners' medal, but it is not something he particularly cherishes. He has a Premier League winners' medal, having made 6 appearances for Chelsea last season, but speaking to Sportsmaily's Matt Lawton, he believes he should have gone out on loan earlier. He made 6 appearances coming off the bench, he says of that title-winning campaign last season under Antonio Conte. "Sure, I made a contribution, not least in training, but that's not really the way I want to win something." Loftus-Cheek does regard his time at Chelsea as valuable, not least because of the education he received working with some of the world's finest players and under some extremely successful managers. "Ideally you'd have the balance of playing with the best and playing more often," he says. "There's nothing better than training with players of that quality. It does improve you as a player." I think it's because of training with those players that I can be as big as I am and still be good in tight spaces, and seeing how they train, you learn from that. I'd say Eden Hazard is the best player I've trained with. But the best trainer has to be Frank Lampard. And John Terry too, their attitude to training. They train properly every day. They really stood out for me. His Chelsea experience has been valuable. With Eden Hazard the best star he has trained with, Loftus-Cheek has been deployed in a variety of positions, from centre-half to holding midfielder and more recently as an attacking midfielder. He would consider his best role as one of the two more advanced midfielders in a 4-3-3. Right or left, because I'm comfortable on both feet, he says. But his talent as a cross-country runner at school has provided him with an engine, and as a youth team player he would study Lampard, a player he considered the ultimate box-to-box midfielder. It was when we really started to use all the new technology at Chelsea and make videos of one player for a whole game. He says they'd store it all on the MacBooks in the academy and you could just click on a player and watch their clips. I'd sit with the coaches and just watch videos of Lampard, studying him and how he plays, making those late runs and getting goals. As a youth player at Chelsea, Loftus-Cheek would study Frank Lampard's box-to-box style. Haters wish he had left Chelsea to go out on loan earlier than he did. However, I heard it a lot that I was going to be the one to break through from the academy, but I wish I'd let it go earlier than I did. He says, I realized to keep improving I needed to play more. It wasn't easy not getting many chances, but I knew I just had to keep working hard in training and take the opportunities when they came. Even so, he has enjoyed his time at Palace. Injuries have been a problem. Indeed, the ankle injury he suffered before Christmas had him concerned that his season was over at one stage. But he has impressed enough to break into the England side, and he now has Roy Hodgson publicly declaring his desire to keep Loftus-Cheek at Selhurst Park. Despite excelling at Crystal Palace, Loftus-Cheek plans to return to Chelsea for pre-season. He haven't made a decision on that yet, but as things stand I plan to be back at Chelsea for pre-season, he says. Being at Palace has been good. Roy is a really good coach and a really nice person. All the lads like him. But I need to see what happens this summer, and right now I'm focused on staying fit and finishing the season well. Given those initial fears about the injury, that is perhaps understandable. Originally they thought the season was done, he says. I suffered the injury against Bournemouth. We're not sure how. We've looked at videos and can't see a particular challenge or anything. In fact, nothing showed up on the scan to begin with. I ended up having 3 scans and it was only on the third one that they could see the bone was chipped, and that's what was causing the pain. I ended up playing 4 games with it, because I could get through it even though it was painful. I'd just take painkillers. But after the 4 games I said I can't play like this any longer. I went back to Chelsea to do my rehab and it healed quicker than we thought it would, which was great. Impressive games against Brazil and Germany. Support calls for his World Cup selection. Then, of course, he had followed a fine junior international career with that hugely impressive debut against Germany. Wembley against the world champions might have seemed daunting to some, but not to Loftus-Cheek. Around that time a lot of people were saying they thought I might get a call-up, and I did, and I was really happy about that. He says, I wasn't thinking too much about playing, certainly not starting. I just wanted to join up with the squad and enjoy the experience. And it wasn't until the day before that I knew I was starting. I'd been in pressure situations before. I'd had success with the junior England teams. We won in Toulon and it was the first time we'd done that in something like 22 years. When it came to the Germany game, one didn't want to ruin it by getting myself too worked up. I'm confident in my ability and I just tried to enjoy myself when I play. It was the blend of strength and skill that caught the un, earning him another start against Brazil. I like to use the power I have, he says. I had problems growing up. I had a sudden growth spurt at 15 or 16 and I got a lot of injuries as a result. I gained all this muscle and my bones couldn't cope. I used to get so tired, but my body's caught up with itself now, and I'm feeling good. And I'd obviously love to be involved this summer. We'll see. Ruben Loftus-Cheek wears the Adidas Deadly Strike 17.1 boots designed for explosive quickness. Get yours at www.adidas.co.uk/football.